Having had the Samsung Galaxy A12 for well over 3 weeks, I can say for certain Samsung did everything right except for one thing. No, that's two things. Definitely two things. Welcome to my full review. What is up, guys? Welcome to the channel. My name is Izzy. So, when I first got the Samsung Galaxy A12, I didn't see it as an upgrade to the A11. I thought it's an entirely different device, especially since it had a quite different design and not conventional to what we're already used to with previous A-series devices. But that has actually not been the case so far. It is a worthy upgrade from the Samsung Galaxy A11, and I can only really find one part I'll consider a downgrade, and that is the Infinity V display. There is no how I'm going to say it, this feels so 2019. I mean, it's 2021, at this price point we really shouldn't be seeing an Infinity V display design except at the very low budget end like the Samsung Galaxy A02s. You probably will be able to ignore it after using it for a while though, as it barely affects the overall user experience. I still have my reservations about the continuous use of a TFT display, but I guess we'll have to live with that. If you're enjoying this video so far, a sub to the channel will be most appreciated. In using the Samsung Galaxy A12, I've compared it to the Samsung Galaxy A02s and recently the Nokia 3.4. I'm going to leave links in the description to those videos so you can check them out. One thing I'd say Samsung got right with the A12 is the design. It deviates from what we are used to with the A series, but I must say it's pretty practical. The textured finish on the rear makes for easy grip and it is really easy to hold. The bottom part of the rear where we have the Samsung logo has a matte finish that looks and feels like metal. But the bottom part of the device is entirely built of plastic on the rear. The rear cameras are nicely arranged in a square bump to the top left with the flash just below the bump. The repositioning of the fingerprint scanner to the power button on the side is also quite nice. It is not as hypersensitive as some other devices I've tested with a side-mounted fingerprint scanner, so you don't trigger it accidentally, but it works well to unlock the device fast enough as you'd expect from a physical fingerprint scanner. I'd also say it's pretty easy to reach. The software is pretty much what you would expect, One UI 2.5 on Android 10. Android 11 based One UI 3 is definitely in the works, but there is no certainty how soon. Of all the Android skins I've used, One UI still remains among the best, one I don't really have to use with a custom launcher. Minimal bloatware, feature packed, and also lightweight. The software experience is pretty much stable. Another upgrade we have on the Samsung Galaxy A12 from the A11 has to be the improved RAM and memory. The A11 came with a base 2GB of RAM, but this comes with a base 3GB of RAM and up to 128GB in storage. In my region we have the 4GB model as the base available, retailing for around $160. I'd say it's fairly priced. More RAM and more memory means it can handle more. You're able to use the expandable storage if you need more space. At the start of this video, I mentioned there were two things I believe Samsung could have done better with the A12. One, which is the Infinity V display design, which I already talked about, and the second being the choice of a processor, the MediaTek Helio P35. Now, don't get me wrong, the Helio P35 is a good processor and it works just fine with the Samsung Galaxy A12. But if you're someone that expects to do some gaming, this is probably not the device for you. It really struggles even with Asphalt 9. The Helio P35 is accompanied by a PowerVR GE8320 GPU, and I have to say at this price point, I would have preferred a Snapdragon processor, say the 460 for example, seeing that its predecessor had the Snapdragon 450, or a higher MediaTek processor at the very least. There are other devices around this price point offering better performing processors like the Nokia 3.4 with the Snapdragon 460 or the Infinix Note 8i with the MediaTek Helio G80. That is not to say any of these devices far outperform the Samsung Galaxy A12 though, they have their own weaknesses as well and you can check the comparison video I did not long ago. With that said though, the graphics demanding games are only playable at the very lowest settings, but I'll still keep my expectations at the barest minimum. Now that I've mentioned the two things I believe could have been better with the Samsung Galaxy A12, it is fitting to continue with other improvements that have made this a worthy device. The battery is another area that has been improved with the Samsung Galaxy A12, packing an impressive 5000 mAh battery. This gives you an impressive battery life. On a full charge, you will get just enough juice to last you the entire day through regular or average use, and you will really not need to charge. With its 15 watts fast charging via USB-C, you get to power it up from 0 to 100 in just about 2 hours. Now, there is one area where the Samsung Galaxy A12 really shines and does a lot better than other devices I've tested within this price category, and that's its cameras. I believe the Samsung Galaxy A12 was more targeted at the camera lovers. It has a 48 megapixel quad rear camera setup, accompanied by a 5 megapixel ultra wide camera, depth sensor, and a macro camera. It takes really good photos with decent HDR, sharp also with good detail. When taking shots of close subjects, you can get the blur effect on the background. This is not live focus or portrait mode. The 48 megapixel mode really does well to capture a lot of detail in high resolution, such that you can crop the zoomed image and still have a sharp image. Its ultra wide cameras also does really good and has a 123 degrees field of view. The selfie camera does quite a really good job. I initially did not consider it impressive until I did a few comparisons with other devices and it had the much better quality. There is not much expectations from the macro camera though, it is just 2 megapixels. You can shoot videos up to 1080p at 30 frames per second from both the selfie and the rear cameras. In my earlier review I had more camera samples and you can check them out. The Samsung Galaxy A12 is a device I can highly recommend, though not if you are someone interested in proper gaming on a budget. I will look at other devices or increase my budget. Its cameras are quite impressive for its price point. The battery life is also awesome, the design is on point, and most importantly, I think this is a fairly priced device with the specifications it offers. So, what do you think? The Samsung Galaxy A12? I'd like to know your thoughts. I'll be watching the comment section. Also, if you find this video helpful, don't forget to hit the thumbs up and also subscribe to the channel. I guess we'll see in another video. Peace.